Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Lead customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingles.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingles here. You're listening to us live on Building Fortunes Radio. It's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. Many of you are familiar with my voice. I am Peter Mingles. We started doing this radio show lots of years ago. And when I did this, I wanted a platform to be able to share with the world people that were doing the right things in home-based businesses. And several months ago, I reconnected with a gentleman who's hosting this show. His name is Ray Gebauer. And Ray is one of those really good people. So if you were to, categorize Ray, you'd say good guy, hard worker, sincere, always looking at your best interest, creative, all the good attributes you'd assign towards a human being. And if you wanted him to be your business building partner, Ray Gebauer would certainly be the person to be able to help bring you to the next level. So there's lots of things that I like about Ray Gebauer. One of the other things is that he's always working on himself, and he's challenging himself and very creative. So that's one of the reasons why I really like listening to this radio show as well as having him host this one, because he brings me along with him wherever he goes. And we've had several weeks where he's been speaking about his triple-letter formula for success, a better life, and his ABL, as he likes to say. And it's kind of interesting because he has my head scratching. As I've learned the predictable patterns of Ray Gebauer, he is creative. So you can't just go for if he says you want ice cream, you can't go pick vanilla, because that'd be easy. Can't go chocolate, that'd be easy. He's like Baskin Robbins and then some. He's like the 31st flavor. So he's going to be talking about different things today on our radio show. And although Baskin Robbins may not be the healthiest thing, if you're just thinking about that as far as an example, you'll probably get what I mean when we talk about Ray Gebauer being super-duper creative. Now, you can hear the previous radio shows by going to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray-Gebauer, and Gebauer is spelled Gebauer. And I know he's got his own websites, and he's always going to give you his contact information as well. But if you are looking for a great company and a good man to be able to work within that great company, you don't have to go anywhere else. Ray Gebauer could be that person for you. So, Ray, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I'm always happy to be here and have a platform in which to share some ideas. I want to start tonight off with a sort of a funny story, and sort of interesting. I heard this from an attorney in Washington, D.C. several years ago. And it just really struck me, and every once in a while I'll use this to make a point. And so in the story, this beautiful mallard duck, all this beautiful colors, it walks into a hardware store, and it's a talking duck. It says to the owner, "Hey, mister, do you have any nails?" I'm sorry. Do you have any duck food? I got distracted. Have any duck food? And he says, "No, we don't carry duck food here. Get out. I don't want to see you again." So he waddles out. Next day he comes back and says, "Hey, mister, do you have any duck food today?" And he says, "I said I don't want to see. Of course, we don't have any duck food here. What the heck are you doing? Get out. If I ever see you again, I'm going to nail your webbed feet to the floor. Get the heck out." So he scrambles out. Next day, duck's a little bold, I guess. He comes back and says, "Hey, mister, do you got any nails?" I said, "Well, no, actually, I've just sold out." I said, "Oh, good. Do you have any duck food?" So it always just struck me funny. And the point I want to make from the silly story here is my observation, and this has been true of me a couple times too, my serious observation is that a lot of people sort of have their feet nailed to the floor. And they might have a desire. Napoleon Hill talks about having a strong, burning desire. But, that's not really enough. And yes, you got to think and to grow rich, but a lot of people, they're still stuck, like their feet are nailed to the floor. It's almost, maybe a more modern analogy is you need to get into the back office or some website, and if you don't know the password, guess what? It doesn't work if you're close. You got to have everything exactly right. You have to have the right ingredients, or in this case, the right digits, the right password to get in. If you want to open a combination lock, you have to have the right combination. And so, there's a list of, dozens of things I could tell you, suggestions and ideas, but that's too much to handle all at once. So what I've done to make it easier for everybody is I've come up with these 3-letter formulas, triple-letter formulas that target 3 dynamics that I believe are really, really important and actually essential to have ABL, a better life. If you want to be happier, have more success, and just a better life and have more influence and leave a bigger mark, these are some formulas that you can use. Like I did the triple A formula, I did a triple C formula, a triple E, and what else did I do? Triple F last week. I did triple I and triple R, triple W, and I'm going to do a few more. Tonight I'm going to do the triple B formula. So, Peter, but I didn't tell you what they were. You want to make a stab what you think the 3 Bs might be before I get going?
Yeah, the challenge is I kind of figured out the first one would be the word belief. And belief or believe. So that was the first one. And then I got stuck there because every time I started thinking, I got like a broken record. I just got stuck on belief. And my other challenge that I kind of hinted at during my introduction with you, I'm like, well, Ray's always a little bit on the creative side. So he's got to come up with a word that makes sense. But I was thinking about bargain. So I know that's not one of yours, but I'm just thinking like bargain. You have to make a bargain with yourself as far as a commitment. And the third one I'm going to leave, maybe behavior, but I don't know. So I'm kind of wishy-washy on that one. So my creative one would be bargain. My doubtful one would be behavior. My sure bet would be belief. So there you go.
Okay, well, thank you. I believe that you are correct on the first one. We're going to start with that. It's like almost obvious you should start there if you're going to talk about a B word. And behavior was going to be my third one, but after more reflection, I wanted something that's a little more creative, a little more dynamic, and so that's sort of a given, but that's not going to be the third one. So I believe I will begin with beliefs because that's so foundational. You may have heard of this guy, I think he's a doctor, I think, Bruce Lipton. He wrote a very popular book called The Biology of Belief. Very fascinating. There's YouTube videos on this, and he's quite well known. And he talks about how our beliefs, change our biology. It can actually change your DNA. So a belief isn't just some thought or what you happen to believe. Beliefs can be powerful. They can be powerfully destructive and powerfully constructive. And that's like the foundation of your house. If you don't have the right beliefs, it's the old story about the two guys who both build a beautiful house. The one built it on the sand and one built it on the rock. And guess what happened when the storm came? So the guy who built it on the rock, he had a rock-solid foundation, and the house stood and withstood the storm. And that's what we need to do. Now, everyone already has beliefs. Like the other little fable about the 3 little pigs and 3 different houses. They all had a house, right? But they were made out of different material. One was straw, and one was twigs, and one was bricks. So we already have beliefs but some beliefs are not really very functional. It's like having a house built out of straw or a house built on sand. So what do you need to believe in? Well, obviously you need to believe in yourself. And it doesn't have to be 100% belief. You may remember the story 2,000 years ago. This guy, I think he was blind. He had some kind of disease, and he asked the master, the master asked him, well, what do you want? He said, well, I want to see again. And he said, well, do you believe? And he said, yeah, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. And so to get results, you don't have to have 100% belief, but you have to have enough belief to at least get into the game. You got to have enough belief to swing the bat, even if you strike out most of the time. So you've got to believe in yourself enough to engage and to stay engaged. And of course, the more success you have, the stronger your belief is going to get. And you need to believe in the possibility of success. And not just as a possibility, but you want to actually hold it as something that's inevitable. That if you posture yourself that I'm going to do whatever it takes, then it's just a matter of time. If you want to drive across the country, you get there faster on a jet plane, right? You still can get there if you go in a car and you go 60, 70 miles an hour. But what if your car was only going 10 miles an hour? Can you still get across the country, say from Oregon to Florida? Yeah, it just take you a lot longer as long as you don't pull over and park or go back home, even if you're going slow. So what keeps you on the road, what keeps you on track, what keeps you in the game is belief. And so how do you get your belief stronger? Well, first of all, you just have to decide and intend, I'm going to become a believer. Everyone believes in something. Like in a bar, these guys are having a conversation about what they believe in, and one guy says, he asked the other, well, so what do you believe in, buddy? He says, well, I don't know. I believe I'll have another beer. So some beliefs are not useful, and some beliefs are very dysfunctional. Like a lot of people believe, well, I can never do network marketing. I can never talk to people. I can never get on stage. I can never, sell anything. I can never learn all this stuff. And so because they believe something negative, it ends up being true. It's sort of, you get what you expect. So a positive, constructive belief is when you have a positive expectation. And sometimes we need to go in there and discover what are the hidden, invisible beliefs that we're not consciously aware of. And sometimes we need a coach to help us figure out what those beliefs are that are sabotaging our better life, our better future, and start working on those beliefs. Listening to people like, Jim Rohn's my favorite. Reading a chapter in the book of Proverbs every day, I think is a good idea. I've done that for years and years. The whole Bible. And, other people, Tony Robbins, and, you get value from sermons. And being around people who believe, it's almost sort of contagious. Because we become like those with whom we associate. So if you're around doubters who don't have strong beliefs, then it's going to erode your belief and weaken your belief. You're around people who have strong beliefs. They have a lot of faith. They'll have a lot of confidence, and I use those words interchangeably. Belief, faith, confidence. Then you're going to become more like that. Now, one of the more common English words I think that would be useful to bring up that is pretty much the same thing as belief, or faith, or confidence, is the word depend. Like if you believe in God, that means you're also depending on Him. So if you believe the chair is going to hold you up, that means you're depending on it. If you believe that when you drive on the right side of the road and the cars coming the other way are going to stay on their side of the road in their lane, well, you're depending on that, right? So depending is one of the elements of belief. So if you believe something, you're depending on that happening. You're expecting it. I think I like expecting even better. But I want to spend most of the time on the second one because it's has a little more depth to it, and it needs to be unpacked and explored. And so my second B word is being, B-E-I-N-G. I'm going to say this, the doing comes from the beings. I mean, you may have heard we're not human doings, we're human beings. So when I'm talking about being, our beingness, I'm referring to who we are. Who am I? And that's a question that we don't ask ourselves too much. We just we are who we are, right? I think a bird goes around thinking about, well, who am I? But there's value in us thinking or asking ourselves, exploring, who am I? Who am I in my core? And I think we need to distinguish that the core of who we are is not our mind, which is easy to assume. If anything, it's really our heart. In the core, our beingness, who we really are, is really our heart. And there's a verse from King Solomon 2,500 years ago in Proverbs 4:23. It says, guard your heart, for out of it flow the springs of life. So I would suggest to you the core of our beingness is really most identified in our heart. That's the source of our life, the springs of life. So we need to guard and cultivate our heart if we want to have a better life. Another way of looking at this is the true self versus the false self. We already all exist as beings. God is a being, you're a being, we're all beings. Your pet dog is a being. But one of the problems humans have, it's easy for us to get corrupted. And God designed us to be good. We're made in God's image. But early on, we got corrupted. And all of us are still to some degree. We're all somewhat fallen. We're somewhat broken. We get faked out. We get deceived. We make mistakes. And plus, we can sometimes deliberately put on a false front to try to protect ourselves from pain. And so we end up developing a false persona, sort of the false self versus the true self. So I'm suggesting our beingness really needs to be being our true self as opposed to the false self that's really corrupted and poisoned, foremost by fear, and false beliefs. Getting back to belief, there's false beliefs and doubts, and not feeling good enough, not able, feeling worthless. And so that's something, if we don't identify that and start working on getting back to who we really are, our true being, then we're limited to the impact we can make and what we can do and how long we can even stay engaged. So how do you develop this beingness of who you are, to cultivate it? I think there's two dynamics. You need to work from the inside out, yourself, but even that's not going to be enough, I think. You need outside affirmation. I mean, you can go around all day saying, I am a smart, wonderful, valuable, worthwhile person. Whatever I say I'm going to do, I will do it. Or you will do it. And you make affirmations and declarations. I spoke a whole broadcast on declarations. I think they're powerful. But in reality, as useful as they are, not to minimize them at all, even more powerful is the experience of someone else affirming you. You can say all day long, I believe in myself. I believe I can do this. And that's useful. Or even better, you should say, you can do this, speaking second person. But when someone else says that, say, Peter, I believe in you. I know you could do this. And if you don't have what it takes right now, you'll figure it out. You'll get the help. And so the more we get the affirmation from others, which isn't going to happen automatically, unless you're just really lucky, you need to associate with the people that are willing to affirm you. And that's one of the biggest benefits of being involved in a home-based business, part of a network, because that dynamic's sort of built in, ideally, your upline and maybe your downline is going to be affirming you and looking up to you and appreciating you and seeing your potential and seeing your better future. So we need that positive affirmation, not only generating it internally, the visualization and declarations and taking action, but we really need it from others as well. We need to experience people holding us, holding you as a valuable person, someone who's worthwhile versus as nobody. Most people, they get treated like they're nobody. Most people even sort of hold themselves as a zero instead of being a hero, because everybody can be a hero. You can go from being a dud to a stud, from a zero to a hero. But you have to decide and intend for that to happen. It doesn't happen automatically. And we need help to get there. We need mentors and we need coaches. Another aspect of being is it's more important, in my opinion, that it's more important than where you want to, what's more important than where you want to go is where you are coming from. So where you're coming from, that's your beingness. That's the core of who you are. So like, let's say in your home-based business, you have a compensation plan and you want to become some rank, say a diamond director. Okay, so if you're going for that, you can say, I'm going to become a diamond director someday. Okay, well, that's good. It's good to say that. But maybe more powerful, I say more powerful for sure, is to be coming from that, seeing yourself already being a diamond director. So you say, I am a diamond director. You are a diamond director, saying it as if it's already done. So you're coming from, I'm just not quite qualified yet, but that's who I am. Rather than saying, I'm going to become a millionaire, say, I am a millionaire, I just don't have the money yet. Yeah, I think Jim Rohn used to say that. And so it's the mindset, it's the holding yourself as someone who is already there in your mindset, so you're coming from that posture. And so that makes you more powerful, more effective. It enriches your confidence. So coming from something mentally as opposed to just seeing yourself, hopefully getting there. And if we don't do this, it's easy for us to start compensating for our dysfunctional beliefs and our doubts, and we compensate for not feeling valuable or important with things like anger or even depression or arrogance, which really keeps us even more stuck, our feet nailed to the floor even more. So the answer to the question, who am I? What is my beingness? Like I said, which determines what we do and what we achieve, I think the best place to look is in our heart. Like I mentioned that verse, Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart or cultivate your heart, for out of it flow the springs of life. So we need to cultivate our heart. I think with the 4 C's, which I talked about a couple of weeks ago, the 4 C's of diamond love. Triple C formula actually had 4 C's. For me, the essence and functionality of love, which in one sense is really the answer to everything, the 4 C's. The caring, the connecting, the committing, and creating value. So this is how you would enlarge your heart. This is how would you make your heart stronger, how to be more your true self versus becoming a false self, breaking out of the false self by examining how am I doing on these 4 C's, as the 4 dynamics, 4 dimensions of mature love. Am I caring? Am I connecting? Am I committing? And am I creating value? And the more we do those 4 elements, those 4 C's, the stronger we become, the more resilient, the more effective, and the happier we're going to be. and will have more impact in the world. And it also positions you to make more of a difference, to be more of a hero in your own stories. I mean, everyone ideally wants to be a hero. Most people don't think about it because they feel more like a zero. And I've been blessed to have times in my life where I did feel like a hero. I remember when I was, I think, 17. I become a lifeguard, and I saved someone from drowning in the Sandy River in Troutdale, Oregon. So I was sort of a hero. Saved someone's life. But just to share, probably the most meaningful example in my life, where I really felt affirmed as a hero for this person. And I think this is within reach of all of us. But this is really personal and meaningful. I may start crying when I read this to you. But this was in a context, I had lost a battle with the IRS unexpectedly, and I got thrown into prison, and I was in a real dark place, and I was just about to get married, and her name was Carol, and she became like the angel of my life for the next 3 years, and was there for me. And soon after I was thrown in prison, she sent this to me. It's much longer than this, but this is the last sentence of what she wrote. That was really precious and very affirming. And because we didn't know what would happen. Maybe I'd get killed while I was in prison. So she wrote, "If I were to never see you again, I would look for you in his kingdom, so I may thank you for being you and for touching my life in a special way as no one other before you." Imagine how that made me feel. I'm in a really dark spot. I've been classified as a criminal, which I really wasn't. But here's someone who really held me as their hero as I touched their life in a special way. And so, that's, still meaningful to me. And to some extent, we all have the capacity to touch people's lives in a way that it changes their lives forever. And so that's what I have to say. I guess one more thing I want to say along this line. Another way I view who I am, my beingness, is for me, based on my background, I tell myself I'm a son of God. So I hold myself as a child or son of God. Or sometimes I think I'm a being of light and life and love. And just holding yourself, seeing yourself that way. Now, you're not there 100%, but you want to be coming from that. That's who you really are, but you're in development. You're that diamond director in development. You're not really there yet, but you hold yourself there. You want to hold yourself as a person of love and of life and a person of light. And that empowers you to make the biggest difference in life and gives you the most happiness. So that's my second B, belief, being. And the third is a word that rhymes with gold. If you want to get the goals, you've got to be bold. So it's more than just taking action. It's more than just, good behavior. You want to be bold. But see, here's the reality. Most people are way too passive. Stephen Covey, in his brilliant book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the 7 habits was being proactive. And we tend to be conditioned and programmed to be more passive. If you want to create a lot more value, you got to be bold. Not aggressive or controlling or domineering, but you got to be assertive. The Bible says God has not given us a spirit of timidity or spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so there's the place for boldness. There's a time and place to shut your mouth and observe, and there's a time to speak up and be bold no matter what people might think. But a lot of people, they're in the prison of over-concern of what other people think. It's a prison of fear, and that keeps you small. And so you've got to make a prison break. You got to break out of that box, get outside that box, that prison of fear. And part of it is just say, I'm going to be bold. Some people might be a little bit offended or a little confused, and sometimes you don't say it quite right, but then that's okay. Just clean it up afterwards. But you want to err, if anything, on the side of being bold, maybe too bold, as opposed to being too passive. Because the guy who's too passive, if he's lucky, he'll get the leftovers, right? But there may not even be any leftovers. And, they say there's three kinds of people in the world. The people who make things happen, the people who watch things happen, the people who wonder what happened. So we want to be the first category, people who make things happen. But you don't make things happen just by thinking about it. Think and grow rich is true, but thinking is just the first step. So you've got to take action, and not just action like, we'll give it a try. I'll call some people and see what happens. No, you got to get this mindset of being bold, of being unstoppable. And so for some people, that means you got to do your prison break. Get out of that box, that restraining box of fear. Now, on the other hand, there is an appropriate situation for fear. Sometimes fear can be your best friend because it can protect you or save your life. So I'm not saying fear is bad, but when fear is your default setting, that really diminishes who you are. It really keeps you small. We don't want to be playing small. We want to be playing big. So if the fear switch is on all the time, it's like you're always using your brakes. There's a time for brakes and time for the gas pedal. And sometimes you got to have the brakes. So the fear can be like a brake. But you don't want to be having the brakes on all the time. And you don't want to just put your car in park. How far are you going to get if the car's in park? So you've got to get out of park if you want to leave your mark in the world. Sometimes rather than just putting your car in park, you need to bark if you want to make a mark. Now, we can do all this nicely, but if you want to create a mark in the world, you got to get out of park. You got to get MAD, M-A-D, which is my acronym I really like for making a difference. So everyone makes a difference anyway already. The thing is, most people, the difference they make is often very small. It might be 1% or 5% of what they could have done. So if you want to make a bigger mark, if you want to make a bigger difference, the MAD, making a difference in a bigger way, and maybe even create a legacy and be a hero in your own story and a hero for other people, part of that formula is being bold. So just a quick review, you got to have the right beliefs. You got to pay attention to what you believe because that's your foundation. You got to pay attention to your being. Who are you really? And come from that wonderful, beautiful, awesome self that has the capacity to be a light in the world and make a difference, and being a loving person, a person of light, and coming from that posture and that mindset. And then you've got to be creating value in action in a bold way. Because if you're too laid back or passive or fatalistic, say, whatever happens, happens. Everything happens for a reason. Oh, well, doesn't matter. It's all going to work out anyway. That's one philosophy, but I think that's way too passive. I don't think that's how you're going to get your best results. You've got to make it happen, and you've got to be bold. You got to sort of step over the line and take a risk if you want to live life big and make a bigger difference and maximize not only your own happiness, but the happiness and well-being for everybody else. So I think, Peter, that's it for tonight. That's my B.B.B formula for having a better life epic, being a hero in our own story. And so unless you have any comments, I think that's all I have to say tonight.
I loved it. As usual, So for those people that love this stuff too, you want to listen to Ray Gebauer. If you go to buildingfortunesradio.com/Ray Gebauer, and the only thing we forgot, Ray, so far is for people that want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Oh, yeah, I did forget about that.
Yep.
I was so into my 3 B's here. To be or not to be. Well, okay, so the easiest way to get hold of me is my cell phone number. You can text or call me at 714-488-9074. So 714-488-9074. And you can call or text me anytime. I'd love to talk to you. Maybe I could help you, maybe give you some enlightenment or coaching or mentoring. Love to work with you. If we feel we're a good match, and maybe you could join me in my business, or I could help you get to where you want to go in life, make more of a difference, and make the world a better place. Which hopefully that's what we're all on the same page, wanting to make the world a better place, including our own world and the world for our family and everybody else. So thank you so much, Peter.
And great perspective. So thanks, Ray, for being here. Thanks for taking the time. You could be lots of other places on a Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time, and you choose to be here. Thank you so much for helping out the Building Fortunes Radio listening audience. We're going to catch you next time on Building Fortunes Radio. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ray.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingles. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.